Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margo Donahue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margo Donahue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend, and happy holidays to one and all. This is that weird week between Christmas and New Year's. We decided to... A lot of podcasts aren't putting any shows out at all. A lot of people are taking a break. So we wanted to do something... We didn't want to do a full show because that's just too much work, and we're both tired, and we needed just a little extra break, just to be honest with you.
We're on vacation.
We're on vacation. I had a Cape Christmas. I went to Provincetown, which is next to Cape Cod. It was like the best time of my life, and Sonia's been chilling at home with her son and her animals and having the time of her life in San Francisco. We thought we would do something, so we came up with the idea. We're stealing this from Reddit. Ask me anything, but it's really ask us anything. So we've been doing the show for 3-4 years now.
Yeah,
somewhere around there. We're season 18. This is episode 6. We figured y'all have questions about us. If this is new, let's say this is your very first time. Normally we do pick one creep, and then the other one is challenged to pick the opposite of that, a non-creep. Sometimes it's in the same industry. Sometimes they're just born in the same town. Sometimes it's just somebody nice in the papers that we read about that day. That's just how it works. God damn it. Somebody's at my door. Hold on a second.
All right. Who was that?
It was UPS. And I left out a bunch of treats, a big box of treats. I had a book party, and we had lots of candy there, and Cracker Jack. That was like I bought this big thing of Cracker Jack, and I had this all left over, so I left it out for the people, the Amazon people, UPS people, stuff like that, for the holidays. And then I went on vacation. I forgot about the box. Where it's in the box. The box
What's
is
in the
still
box?
there. And there's just leftover candy that nobody wants. It's like, and my super and I are kind of like daring the other one to go down and get it. So anyway, that was UPS. I said, I've got some treats for you. He goes, I'm good.
Oh, dang.
So it's leftover. Anyway. You didn't listen in for this. We are the podcast, once again, that we talk about creeps from the past to the present. We do have a basic Facebook page. That's where people go to complain about our language. We use salty language in this program, just to warn you.
Fuck yeah.
We have a private Facebook group. That's where we're much more interactive. We come up with ideas for the show. We just talk about creeps in the news. And even during the holidays, Southwest Airlines, holy shitballs. Just the shit that Andrew Tate. I mean,
or the congressman who totally lied about who he was, Santos,
who says he's Jew-ish. Do you get it, Sonia?
Yeah,
it's a joke.
Get it?
And
he's Jew adjacent.
And then people are like, celebrating because Tulsi Gabbard gave him a tough-ish interview on Fox News. They're like, oh, I like her now. I'm like,
fuck
jeez,
off.
People, she sucks. She sucks too. And she kept saying, we called these places, they got no record of you. I'm like, they do not have a record of you. But
she
anyway,
sucks.
Her hair looks great, though, I have to say. I like that streak.
That's all that matters.
As long as her
hair looks good.
We should say that we are on Twitter at CreepPod for the time being, as long as our overlord Elon runs it.
Yes.
If not, we will go to Hive, whatever. Mastodon,
we'll go to
whatever.
Hive, we'll go to Post, we'll go to Mastodon, whatever.
We'll figure it out. But right now we're at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep for 10 years and never used it.
Creep!
We're on Instagram, What a Creep Podcast. Follow us there if you're on Instagram. And we do have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. And Sonia, do you want to just tell them about the website really quick?
Yeah, you can go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you ever wanted to know about the show, but we're afraid to ask.
I was
except
afraid,
for all these,
Sonia.
Except for all these questions that you asked us that aren't on the website. So good job, everybody.
Smart.
There's also a link to our merch shop where you can get t-shirts and masks and journals and all kinds of fun stuff, tote bags. It's great. And there's also a link to our Patreon page. You want to tell them about that, Margo?
Yes, Patreon. We put out 2 bonus episodes a month. We put out a newsletter every month that Sonia puts together that's really sharp. And we just use it helps us with the costs of putting the show together. We have so many news outlets that we pay for every month. Yeah, we're one of those suckers that pays for the internet.
We do. We want to give credit where credit is due and support our local journalists.
We also have websites that we support and all kinds of software and shit like that. So we totally appreciate all of you that do that. We're doing 2 episodes a month. What we're doing for our last episode of the year is we're going to say thank you individually to everyone who joined Patreon. So look forward to that, y'all.
And you should have got a Creepmas card. If it did not arrive, be patient. It is coming.
It is coming. Trust us. And Sonia, I guess that is pretty much it. Are we ready to do the show today?
Yeah.
We've never done this. I'm nervous. You have the questions. I don't.
I have it all open. And I'll try to make sure that we give everybody their credit for asking their question. But the most common question, and a couple people asked it. So Amanda Campbell and is it Belta? Silmani. Bletta? Silmani?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They want to know how we met. How did we meet? How did we start podcasting?
I had a couple of my own podcasts going on. I was at Book versus Movie, and I used to have one called Best Neighbors Podcast. And I appeared on F This Movie a few times, which is a show we talk about quite a bit on our other show, Dorking Out, where we dork out about movies. F This Movie with Patrick Bromley, a fantastic movie podcast if you're looking to add that to your queue.
It's my favorite.
It's the best. He's hilarious and just the kindest human you've ever met. Just a really good person. And we were on there and I was making fun of, I think it was my best friend's wedding, that episode.
Yes.
And we were talking about that. And then Sonia reaches out on Twitter and says, hey, Brooklyn Fitchick, that's who I am on Twitter. I think you rock. I think you're amazing. And she used that gif of Meryl Streep clapping and pointing. That one with J-Lo standing next to her. And I'm like, oh, I got to follow this person. So I wrote back and said, oh, thank you so much. And then we just kind of started following each other. And then you asked for me to be on your show.
Yes. And I was doing a Dorking Out with one of my oldest friends, Chris Smith. And then Chris was like, I don't really want to do the show anymore. And I was like, fine. So I was kind of doing it with like random guest hosts. And I thought maybe Margo would like to come on and guest host. And I think right away we were like, oh, yeah, that's the thing. Like, this is it right here. And so I was like, want to come back next week? You want to come back the week after that? And then pretty soon it was like, let's put a ring on it and make it official. And Margo joined the show. And she's the one who came up with the idea for What a Creep.
Right.
Like,
and it was going to be a segment on Best Neighbors Podcast, really fuck this guy or something like that.
Yeah, seriously
fuck this guy, which a lot of people use. But my co-host didn't want to do it. And I was actually glad. I thought like, I'll run it by her first. And she didn't want to do it. So
it's the polite thing to do.
It's a polite thing to do. And then I asked Sonia and she was like, hell yeah. And
I love to talk shit about creeps. I'm like, I do that shit in my free time.
We're different, but we're similar. And I think we just figured it out. We both watched the Netflix series Wednesday, and I'm Wednesday Addams.
Yeah.
And Sonia is her roommate.
I'm Enid.
Like that's exactly who we are. Like I'm dark haired. I wear black. I'm very fair skinned. I have an edge to me, but I'm also deep and squishy deep down.
You are.
Yeah.
You are.
I'm a softie.
I am very colorful and like bright side and almost toxic positivity, something I work on, directed at myself, by the way, not others,
right?
Purely at myself. But yes, I'm definitely an Enid. And it just kind of went from there.
Yeah. And at one point, my mother was very sick. And I had to fly out to Reno, Nevada. That's where she lived, and take care of her. It was the last few months of her life. And Sonia, doing the podcast with Sonia was like this amazing thing to look forward to. It was like this new friend that I made, and she was just so kind, and it was just sort of like and Mom was like, she sounds like she's your new best friend. She's so cool. I'm like, I know. So that it was all these things that were going on in my life, and then then our friendship happened, and then I was like, we didn't see each other for like 2 years.
Yeah, like we talked multiple times a week, text every day, and then finally met in person like 2 years later. And like the truth is that like we have helped each other through some pretty serious shit in the time that we've known each other. Like, you know, we've dealt with like death in the family, my divorce, through a pandemic, like
my brother died.
Yeah. We've dealt with some shit.
Yeah.
And we have each other's back, and we know it.
Yeah.
Like, even though we can't be together, like physically, like we know that the other one is there.
Right.
Always.
And it's when Sonia came out to visit for my book party and her son became obsessed with Coney Island, I've been like sending her listings for Coney Island, like, hey, we could all just pull our money together.
Let's start
like Sonia's sister out. Yeah, Michelle, we'll just all do it. So who knows?
By the way,
this will continue.
Yeah, Calvin loved the transit map shirt you sent him. It was the first thing he wore, like Christmas morning. He put it on and was wearing it. Like, he loves it so much.
Awesome.
He's so sweet. We have more questions. We have lots of questions. Okay. How did you come up with the names for your pets? And that's from Taru.
Oh, Taru. So
okay. Yeah,
Sarah, I got through Pet Finder. It's I don't know if I think it still exists.
Yeah.
I was looking for a white fluffy cat, and she was so beautiful, and that her name was just Sarah. And then as soon as I got her, I just started calling her Sweet Sarah.
No.
T, I thought Tennessee was a boy when we first got her. Excuse me. She was a little kitten, and she was left along the side of the road in New Jersey.
She might go by they.
She might be a they. She might be gender fluid.
Yeah.
I mean, she is fixed. I mean, like it's kind of like, yeah. But her name was Tennessee, and then just T started happening, and now she's just T. So it's just T and Sweet Sarah. What about you?
Calvin named our pets. So we got Toby first, and Toby I adopted through the Humane Society here, and his name was Bingo. Is what they were. That's just what they were calling him, because he was actually a stray. Like, he was clearly a runaway, had run away from a bad home. You know, had like cracked ribs and stuff. It was real sad. Poor baby. And they called him Bingo. And like the minute I met him, we were like heart's eyes for each other. And like, but I let Calvin name him, and Calvin was really into Thomas the Tank Engine at the time, and there is a train on there named Toby, and Toby is like this square, awkward, like super polite train, and it's actually kind of fitting because Toby is also a very awkward timid dog when it comes to humans, so it's kind of funny. So that's Toby. And then Max, Calvin also named him, and that was just from The Dog and the Grinch. Like, he was watching
that's perfect.
The Grinch over and over. What's funny is the other night, Calvin and I were watching The Secret Lives of Pets. And in that movie, there is a little dog that is named Max. And then the big one is named Duke or whatever. And he's a big brown dog. And there's definitely like a similar dynamic. I'm like, yeah. That's my boys.
Yep.
All my boys.
That's me and my bitches. Or she and her boys.
Oh my gosh, that's true. You're like all girls over there.
Oh, yes.
And I'm all boys.
My neighbors
surrounded.
across the hallway, they say they can always hear, as soon as I open my door, I'm like, where are my bitches at?
So Christina Graham wants to know, how do we keep up with all the creepiness, and how do we choose who we profile on the show? It's
sometimes it's just a gut instinct. You just kind of, sometimes we watch a documentary, or you just hear a name in the news. Sometimes, we do try to keep it like, if we've had a serial killer, like we try to do something a little different.
Yeah.
We love it. We love doing the old timey Hollywood ones, but I don't know. I like what we do because it's a variety, but we have an ongoing list
We do. When we talk about the list, we do have a list.
Yeah. And it's a Google document. We both add to it. I'm really like Mojo, the Watch Mojo, is that what they're called on YouTube? They do all those things like the top 10 creepiest places in the world and the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I watch them a lot, and then I'll just put a fuckload of, ideas. And then we try to write a season out, but then we have like a little slash next to them. And like, it might be, let's say John Derek. I'm just popping him out of it. Yeah. And then I'll just be like, oh, no, I need to do Burt Reynolds. Oh, no, I need to do blah, blah. And they'll all be on there. And you're like, which one are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. It depends on also, for me, it's like, if I have to read something, how many pages is it? How many? Because we want to be accurate. And we're both sticklers for that.
Yeah. I think my process is sometimes it's people in the news that has like, and I do prefer like a beginning, a middle, and an end, but I don't always. Like someone like a Matt Gaetz doesn't have an end, but he still is fucking garbage, and I just felt like it just had to be done. Sometimes like I think the first creep I ever did was Newt Gingrich, and the reason I did Newt Gingrich is because A, he's trash, but B, he is the architect of so much of what we see right now in politics. Like, and sometimes there's something going on in the news that reminds me of something that happened earlier. I like to, like, everything old is new again. And so I like to do that a lot. I love to do Hollywood creeps, not even old Hollywood creeps. Like, there's a reason I've done like the Brett Ratners and the Bryans or the Bryan Singers and all these, I like talking about that. Not like, that's the wrong word, but that's the stuff I like to read.
It's also, we've also been, we also do love the old timey creeps, of course, because sometimes when there's just some distance from things, you can
have a little bit more fun.
Yeah. But we have heard from victims who've reached out to us of these people and have said thank you. And that's been like really rewarding, because that's
amazing when that happens,
because we want them to feel safe. Like we are on your side. We're not judging anything about you. Like the guy that did the thing to you, or the person that did the thing to you, is the fucking asshole. I'm not going to track down your parents to yell at them if they allowed. That always makes me crazy when people go, "Where are the parents?" I'm like, parents can't watch you 24 hours a day. Like, it's the person who fucking did it.
Victim blaming.
Yeah,
it's shitty.
It's really shitty. So anyway, so that's another thing that's been really satisfying for us, and we try to keep that in mind. Like, especially if the people are alive or if they have kids. Over the years we've decided like not to mention the kids so much or their names, because you can't help who your fucking parents are. Kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and also we choose sometimes to space it out a little bit too. So like you might have mentioned this, but like I really want to do the Falwells, and I was going to do the Falwells, but then for some reason I was like, no, I need to do Focus on the Family. So I did Focus on the Family. I did somebody else who is also kind of similar. And I was like, well, now the Falwells need to maybe wait, because that's like 2 in a row I've done of Catholics suck. And by the way, all Catholics don't suck. I'm just saying, like, I did 2 in a row that are like that. And I'm like, Sonia. So I have to move the Falwells. So sometimes it's just moving people around. And somebody also asked, like, when are we going to do Trump? And it's like, we've said this before, like, Trump is the end of the show pretty much. Like, it would be like 20 parts. That story doesn't have an end. He commits new crimes every day. It's also, we would need to do it in our style,
right?
Our way. Like, you would need to go to like Slow Burn podcast for like a really deep dive. Like, we would have to do Trump in our own way. So that one's going to be a while. We say that's when we're going to end the show, but I don't know if that's really true. We could do the show forever.
We could do the show forever. I mean, also, it's, we live with it when we're researching it, and we're watching the documentaries, and we're getting all the news sources, and we write out our scripts. So we also have to figure out like how dark do we want things to be, and And sometimes people, I think this is also one of the questions, like who's something you won't cover. And I remember somebody joined the Facebook group and they just started listening to us and they got so excited. I don't know if they're still here or not, but they said, when are you going to cover John Lennon? Because this show and this show covered John Lennon. And a part of me is like, I don't want to do it if somebody else just did it on their show. Yeah. And also, I'm a big Beatles fan. And also, he was an abusive creep to women. He also was shot dead at 40. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, actually, somebody asked us the question, like, is there somebody that you won't be covering? And I think he's one of those. Like, it's just that one's messy. It's kind of the same reason why we haven't done Michael Jackson. It's hard when it's someone you grew up with and you can't untangle like your memories from their work. I guess. I don't know. That one's tricky. Like, also Michael Jackson fans could be a little bananas.
Some people, and some people, they hire bots like to attack on social media, you know, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere else.
Yeah.
TikTok now, like they go in there just to attack people who dare to say anything. And so, you know, it's just the two of us. We're not a part of a big network. We don't need like you don't need like, I shouldn't say this, but it's not like you have like a big lock you have to go through to get to my building to then get to me. You know what I mean? It's like we have to consider our safety too.
Yeah. And I have a son, a young son. I don't want creeps harassing me.
Right.
Although I have a big dog. Just
That's
saying.
True.
We also got a couple people asking what our favorite creep episodes are.
I loved doing Frank Sinatra. That was a good one. I really enjoyed that. And then I'm trying Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn might be the funniest one we've ever done. Yeah.
Because he has a rotting dick.
He had a rotting dick when they found him. I mean,
I'll never not laugh about Errol Flynn's rotting dick.
And Sinatra was amazing, like to get to learn about his mother, Dolly.
Yeah.
Dolly Sinatra, she was a woman that helped women with gynecological issues. Like she was the midwife. She helped birth a lot of babies. She also provided abortions for women. She was also a suffragette who, you know, chained herself to City Hall in Hoboken. Like there's stuff like that that's a part of his story.
Yeah.
On top of just Sinatra himself. And once again, I like his music. You know, I just thought he was an asshole, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, on my side, the Errol Flynn one is the one that like makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I really liked writing the Matt Gaetz episode because all I did was look shame. Like, and I know like we shouldn't like look shaming, but like he really is just like if Beavis and Butthead somehow had a child. Like he's really, really ugly human being inside and out. Roy Cohn was another one where like the whole time I was just like, and he's so ugly. Don't forget how ugly he is. Like Betsy DeVos was another one I like doing just because it felt good.
Yeah.
To let it out. I have a lot of hatred towards her, a lot.
And we get people who respond to us about some people who also like, we did the Hillsong Church one.
Yeah.
And then the one you just did this a few weeks ago, that the church, what was that about? The Focus on the Family.
The Focus on the Family.
Salvation Army was a really interesting one.
That I did Focus on the Family and Salvation Army. That's what I was trying to, and that was like,
two religious ones. So we had to,
Yeah. And I know. And then we'll get reviews from people who are like, oh, if you're Christian or conservative, they hate you. And it's like, no, that's not true. I'm kidding. Like those organizations are doing something really fucked up and they just happen to be Christian organizations. Like we said, you've done Hillsong. We've done other ones that are just as fucked up. Maybe someday we'll do some Scientology. You never know.
We used to be afraid of it, but I think they're kind of actually going broke or something. They're not.
Scientology is?
Yeah. Ooh. I don't think they're as powerful as they used to be. Also, we get people who are like we said, we like the story, you know, that has an ending to it. And so when we get, what about Hunter Biden's laptop? I'm like, you know what? you can have Hunter Biden. I don't give a shit. I mean, I think he's been through a lot in his life, and
I just feel like that's a non-story. And
yeah. Until we get arrested, if he's actually arrested for something, and then also don't come at me about like, oh, Twitter chapped the news on this. I'm like, it's one outlet.
Yeah.
There's billions and millions of others, and both sides do it. I mean, it's like, until it's just, and sometimes I just don't give a fuck. I'm not going to waste 10 hours my week on something I really don't care about. If I don't think it really,
I think that's
what's the point?
Yeah, like we are researching and investing our time and spending time with the story. And some of them are really hard.
Right.
The Jimmy Savile one was really, really hard.
Yeah.
It made me feel icky and sick and gave me nightmares, and it was fucked up. And it has to be a story worth telling for us to invest our time, because our time is valuable, into these things. And the Hunter Biden one is not giving me the impression that it's worth our time, to be honest. And we're allowed
to not do things. I mean,
yeah. I'm like, we're not publicly funded. No. You don't own us.
You don't know. But like, there's Jimmy Dore. There's lots of Ben Shapiro's. There are lots of people you could go to if that's the content you're craving. Yeah, we're just not for you. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not for everybody. Jennifer Moline, my friend, would like to know, what are our go-to self-cares when researching creeps?
It's really important for me to not do things late at night. Like I schedule time in an afternoon or an early evening, because if it gives me nightmares, like you said, like Jim Jones was the one I did that was like, holy shit, that one is just really.
Jim Jones is the one I can't even go back and listen to again because it makes me cry.
Yeah. I watch a lot of reality TV. I love Bravo. I love Below Deck is my jam.
Yeah.
The Bravo Real Housewives, which we'll talk about. I know a couple of you have questions about that. That's kind of stuff I like. Or something like a Wednesday Addams on Netflix. Yeah. Those are kind of like those things, or music. But then I do try to not read late at night this stuff. That's for me. I found out I can't do it.
Yeah, that's the same. Like I did a ton of research on Jimmy Savile, and that's the one that gave me, like, I had nightmares because I was doing it later in the evening. Bad choice on my part, but like, I would say my self-cares are finding content that makes me laugh. Whenever I'm feeling like really creeped out and bummed out, I love to go on YouTube and watch every Stefan ever on SNL. Which, if you don't know, it's Bill Hader. It was written by John Mulaney, but Bill Hader plays Stefan, and it's like, New York's hottest club is spicy. And there's all these jokes, and it just always makes me laugh. And somebody did the Lord's work and put them all together, and I can watch them. And I'm sad at how many times I have watched every Stefan ever on YouTube. It's just so good. That's one of my ones. Also, just closing the laptop, not watching something creepy, taking a shower, getting out of my head, spending time with taking the dogs for a walk or hanging out with my kid. All those things are good things. Jennifer also asked, do we have any favorite fictional creeps? Something we've been asked to do episodes on.
I know. We will one day. We will.
Because it'd be fun.
I'm reading the new Stephen King book, Fairy Tale, which I'll talk about on Dorking Out more, but I'm totally loving it. But my favorite is probably The Stand, Randall Flagg, who's like, Jamie Sheridan played him in the TV movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite fictional creep.
Yeah.
Or maybe
there's
the clown from It.
Oh, Pennywise. He's so fucking scary. He's so fucking scary. There's so many.
Oh, Don Draper. Sorry, Mad Men.
Yeah, John. That's a terrific one. Yeah. And I think people don't think about that because they're even like Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
Tony Soprano's a fucking creep. If I think we think because a character is the lead that we somehow think of them naturally as the good guy. And I'm like, they're not. Like Walter White in Breaking Bad is not the good guy.
No.
Tony Soprano is not the good guy.
Christopher, not a good guy.
Yeah, not a good guy. Vic Mackey on The Shield, not a good guy. Interesting, fascinating characters with amazing performances, but Also serious fucking creep. Favorite fictional creeps.
I like Betty Davis and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Maybe she's not a creep. She's kind of more sick. But
yeah.
But when she serves the dead rat to Joan Crawford. And then you hear the behind the scenes stuff like Joan Crawford, who was, by the way, Joan Crawford was 5'3". In case you didn't know that. Yeah. She was petite. And she was very thin. And she wore like this, she wore this weighted thing under her dress so that Betty Davis like threw her back out when she dragged her. I love those Hollywood creep stories.
Also, like on a like comedy side, that's a creep. I used to love to watch Night Court, and the Dan Fielding character played by John Larroquette. He's a fucking creep. So funny.
Yeah,
like so funny.
Sam Malone on Cheers.
Kind of a creep.
He's a harasser, like of the top order, and a sex addict. I mean, but that show was great.
I never thought about that. Like,
I watch Cheers all the time.
Long's boss. He's her boss.
He talks about all women and just like how. Oh, that's what I want to ask you. Okay, during my vacation. Sorry for this.
Yes.
Pivoting just a second. I started watching The West Wing because it was on one of my channels that I had in my hotel room, and I used
to love The West Wing.
It was so fucking cold, like I couldn't go out in the evening, so I was watching it anyway. Second season, Bradley Whitford hitting on that Janelle person, his secretary or his assistant.
Yeah,
I mean the harassment on that show of women and the belittling of women on that show is just off the chain. Like it does not age well.
It is. Actually, so West Wing Sports Night is another one that I really love. But Aaron Sorkin has a thing where like the women are smart, but also he feels like he has to knock them down.
Yeah.
So he'll like make them clumsy, or the relationship between Bradley Whitford and Janelle. I can't remember her last name, but it's Donna and Josh basically on West Wing. Like it's a will they or won't they relationship, but he is her boss. So I think sometimes we forget about that. I think they make it appear that they are equal, that like he would never fire her
for turning him down.
Yeah. But he flirts with her, but he doesn't like, they
never get together.
What's interesting. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, I'm not going to watch this again.
They don't get together until she doesn't work for him anymore.
All right.
And then right then. So there is like, I mean, literally she picks up another job and he's like, hello. Like, if I'm remembering correctly.
I find him very cute, but
he's so cute. I fully had a crush on Bradley Whitford when I watched The West Wing.
Because I had a hard time watching, I love Allison Janney, but they made her like such a flibberty gibbet playing CJ, the press secretary. And why? And I was like, is she really that much taller than everybody? Like sometimes the scenes, it's like she's stepping on top of them as she's talking to them.
Yeah.
It's just
and
really
then there's other scenes where she's like a bad bitch. And I mean that as a compliment, like a boss bitch. And then there's other scenes again where she's like, and like falls, can't walk right and like fucking can't control her limbs and falls off a desk. And like, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Aaron Sorkin. I have a very complicated relationship.
We could do an episode on Aaron Sorkin.
For sure.
Okay. Writing that down.
Yeah. I have, he's
and I like
some
him.
Written some really good things.
His shit's watchable and listenable. Yeah. I mean, it's got, but that gets later on. I'm like, wait a second, that's her boss. That's just like, why is the president treating her like this? Or why? But anyway, I got into it. That was season 2. I think it was a good season.
Yeah, I used to love The West Wing. Let's see. Somebody asked about Real Housewives. Charlie.
Yes.
All Real Housewife creeps, non-creeps, redeemed creeps theories. No one else in my life watches it, and I need someone else to speculate for me. Well, maybe we should talk about Jen Shaw. Like
Jen Shaw.
We didn't get a new episode this week.
No, because of the holidays. We did get Below Deck Adventure, everybody. So definitely check that out on your Penguin Network or whatever it is. Peacock, excuse me, not Penguin Network.
Yeah.
So Jen Shaw is definitely going to jail. She's on Salt Lake City, and she ran she said she ran a marketing company, but what she really did was she just sold classes. I mean, she sold insurance, and she sold classes to help you build your business. And the people that are the victim statement letters, I mean, people spent $30,000, $40,000, put second mortgages on their homes. A couple of people wound up homeless because they couldn't keep up with the debt. And what they did was they kept changing the name of their company. So you would buy one thing and then somebody else would swoop in and like, oh, you're ready for level 2. We'll sell you level 2. And then, we'll build you a website and we'll give you an e-commerce. And it was just appalling. And she's a part of it. Like, she was a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And the Southern District of New York, we've talked about it. They don't fuck around. 98% success rate in convictions.
Yep.
And I think she's absolutely a creep. I think she's fascinating as a person, but also huge asshole. I couldn't be friends with her. She's just too emotional, and
she's a huge asshole.
Yeah. So on that show, she is Heather Gay. I like Heather, but I'm not sure what her deal is this year. Like, Beverly Hills, I'm worried that Garcelle is just not going to come back because, let's be clear, they're a bunch of fucking losers. They really are. And supposedly they're keeping Rinna and Erica, and they're going to bring in Brandy back. And Brandy was Eddie Cibrian's wife, and then he left her for her. And I just find her trashy. I'm just not into it. She was in Ultimate Girls Trip too. Dorinda's.
Yeah.
Who else? New Jersey, Teresa, really stupid. She was on Watch What Happens Live, and they showed her, they were like, where does the president live? And she kept saying, what's the name of the place in Florida that
Mar-a-Lago.
She kept saying Mar-a-Lago. Like, no, where does the president live? She goes, Mar-a-Lago. And then she turns around and it's the White House. She goes, oh yeah, I knew that. Like, she's like that level of stupid. Like, she's just, but she also went to jail and she called it camp.
Oh my gosh.
But I think the new season looks great.
I'm gonna watch
it. I'm not that much. I like Potomac. I don't really hate anybody there. Miami's fun, and New York, I'm glad they're dropping it. I just think the women are just, it had its time. And Bethany's been saying some really racist, stupid shit lately. She went on a whole tirade against Meghan and Harry, and that Meghan is a narcissist, and it's just like, who the fuck are you to talk?
I recently watched Harry and Meghan, and I just don't understand the hate that she gets. No. And it literally boggles my mind. I'm like, it makes no sense to me. And why does Bethany have an opinion on Meghan Markle at all? And why is anyone asking her? So
Bethany cannot not be on TV, cannot not be famous. So she tried doing a show for HBO Max and it sucked. She tried doing a talk show. It sucked. So she has a new podcast, and her new podcast, she's watching old Real Housewives episodes and then recapping them with someone. But she's like, but we're talking about a whole thing. I'm like, she swore she was going to leave Housewives behind. Like, it was It was beneath her. It hated women. That's what she liked to say.
LOL.
I mean, she does great charity things. She has a charity called Be Strong, and they give gift cards to people so they can just get stuff that they need. And I mean, that's great, but it doesn't outdo her idiot side, her asshole side. Yeah. So anyway, so there's your content there. And I'll always talk about it.
Who do you think is just so nice it has to be a cover for something really creepy?
Tom Hanks. I wonder about Tom Hanks.
I also wonder about Tom Hanks. We also were asked, like, is there someone that you would be so disappointed if it turned out they were a creep? And it's Tom Hanks, right?
Hanks, and guess Tom Hanks does have an enemy. And that enemy is Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler. Yes, Henry Winkler.
They did the show. They did the movie. Oh, God damn it.
Turner and Hooch.
Thank you. And Tom Hanks got Henry Winkler fired after a week, and they brought in a new director. And Henry Winkler's been sore about it ever since. That's the one time you see him not happy is when he talks about Tom Hanks.
It's so weird. You would think, because that movie came out in the 80s. Like
88, maybe?
Yeah. I'm like, how is it that they have not
mended fences?
Like,
they
mended
must have a million
fences
friends in common.
Right?
And Tom Hanks has to be like, I can't believe I fucking hurt his feelings. I can't believe I was so into my career that I just, you know what I mean? Like, he would be, because I like Tom Hanks. There was that whole, there was that podcast about meeting Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And do you know what I'm talking about?
Was it called Dead Eyes?
Dead Eyes is a great podcast because there was Connor Radcliffe. He was hired to be in the movie, the HBO series, Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
And it was just like a one day kind of thing. And then they called when he was getting ready to, he flew, he was in England at the time. That's where they filmed it. And then they called him back and said, Tom Hanks said you had dead eyes. You need to come in and redo your audition. and it totally crushed his spirit. Like, he didn't get the part. He moved back to New York. He worked at Barnes and Nobles for like 12 years and only recently came back to comedy. And it was so amazing because the last episode, and that's like, what's our last episode? It's probably going to be Trump. Like, his last episode, he met Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks just sounded like a nice, normal person and was so gracious about it and fun and funny, and he's smart. So it would break my heart if he's a real creep.
Yeah. Is there someone that is a creep that you were like, that was the most disappointing? Somebody asked that too. Carolyn Sayer asked, most disappointed creep? ?
We had a few of them.
I did an episode on Kevin Spacey. That brought me no joy.
Yeah,
I think he's a serious fucking creep. But before I knew that, I was a really big Kevin Spacey fan. I loved Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was an amazing actor.
Louis C.K.
That was a bummer too.
That was a bummer. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Dave Chappelle was a bummer.
Yeah, Win from Arcade Fire. Because I really like their music, but I can't listen to it now because he's just super fucking creepy to me now.
I would be super disappointed if Lizzo turned out to be a creep. Lizzo is the one that I really love. I really love Lizzo. I would be so bummed.
And by creep,
or Mark Hamill. If Mark Hamill turned out to be a creep, that would break my fucking heart.
I could handle Harrison Ford being a creep. But Mark Hamill would kill me.
Yeah, Harrison Ford almost wouldn't even surprise me because he seems very like. By the way, I don't think he would be a creep like he would be rapey. I don't think Harrison Ford would be rapey. I bet Harrison Ford. This is going to come out wrong. It wouldn't surprise me if Harrison Ford said something shitty, basically. Yeah. And especially now because he's like getting to be like grumpy old man. But like Mark Hamill would this seems like a good person. Like, it would break my heart.
I saw there was a clip of Morgan Freeman. There was some things going around about him. And it was like 10, 15 years ago. He was on one of those shows like E.T. or Access, and he was being interviewed by someone. And the woman interviewing him was like in her third trimester, very pregnant. Mm-hmm. And I guess she was really pretty because he looked at her and goes, I'd love to be all up in that. And it's like, I know. He plays God in most of his movies, or the president.
There's all kinds of rando stories out there about Morgan Freeman, but I don't know if there's ever been anything actually proven. I'm like, I guess I should investigate that.
He was dating his granddaughter or some step-granddaughter.
Ew, that's yucky.
Yeah.
We also got a question. I wrote it down from Marisa, and she wanted to know a little bit about your ankle injury
Yeah.
Because we've talked about it a little bit on the show, and she said, I live in fear of things like that. And she wanted to know like how it happened. And
yeah, you should live in fear. Just let me tell you this. All y'all, if you have flip-flops, throw them the fuck away. Let me just say that.
you know what's funny? She actually makes a reference here because she also asked me about like my clothes, and she says, "You're lucky to not find me in flip-flops."
Yeah.
Marisa, throw your flip-flops away.
Throw them the fuck away. I was going downstairs in my building to get some taco dinner from Seamless, and my flip-flops got stuck under my feet. I'm on the second floor, and I fell midair and then landed. And
fucking nightmare.
Look this up. It's a compound fracture. I crawled a few feet to my super's door, knocked on her door, and she was a former Navy nurse, so she knew exactly what to do. She got her brother Josh. They lived together. She sent him up to my former neighbor Aaron, and they sent me to the hospital. And then there's a Stephen King book that I'm reading right now, Fairy Tale, and it's about an old man who falls off a ladder and thinks it's no big deal, and then he goes to the hospital for a couple of weeks. And I was like, I fucking lived through this.
You're all triggered.
I wound up in the hospital for a week. I could not. I had operation put in. I have bolts in my ankle that hold my ankle together.
Yeah.
And it sometimes goes off when I'm going through a metal detector.
Oh my gosh.
I get shots of steroid every 6 months. That seems to help a lot. But I was disabled. I was on disability for 6 months. And before that, I was teaching fitness, like 10 classes a week. So it was like my income got a hit. I mean, I was able to apply for disability, but it's not that much compared to whatever. Anyway, it makes I'm incredibly compassionate about people who are disabled. City living is really rough. I walked around with a walker, and I couldn't put any weight on my right foot. And it was brutal. And the sidewalks are uneven. And, you go to stoops, and sometimes that first step is really high and you don't realize it. So when I hear people now also who have hip injuries or knee problems, and they're like, oh, those steps kill me. I'm like, yeah, I get it now. Like, I really have compassion. So,
yes.
Yeah. So we'll get to another story after that. But that's the injury. Please don't wear flip-flops. Don't run in them. I mean, just get some other sandals. Just please,
maybe save them for the pool, like when you're walking around the pool. Because
also streets are filthy. I mean,
and
I used to be a flip flop girl, but now I'm like, oh, streets are so fucking filthy,
dude. I've turned into an UGG girl. I don't even know who the fuck I am anymore. I used to make fun of people with Uggs. I used to be like, Uggs. Ugg. And because you never saw just like one person wearing Uggs, it'd be like a gaggle of girls.
It was a gaggle of Uggs.
Yeah. And I was like, it's a gaggle of Uggs. And I was like, Uggs, LOL. And right before the holidays, my mom's like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, pair of Uggs. And then I texted my friend Kate, and I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, I want a pair of Uggs. And by the way, I got my Uggs, and they're fucking delightful. They are cozy and warm, and I love them so much.
I was working at Lucky Magazine when they first became popular. And like you said, it was like a gaggle of women, everybody in Uggs.
Yes.
And my fashion editor, director I used to work with, Gina Kelly, used to look at them. She goes, they look like loaves of bread. Like
they do. Mine.
Do.
I have the tan ones. They 100. Maybe that's why I love them so much. I love bread.
Yeah.
I get it. This kind of ties into another question that Marisa asked, which is she was asking me, and it's a compliment. Your hair always looks so cute.
It does.
She's so sweet. She's like, how do you keep that look? I'm like, I keep it because this is just how I dress. But I'll say like how I got there, which is, I had breast cancer. I've had it twice. And the second time was worse than the first time. And I had to do like chemo and things like that. And I lost all my hair. And for years before chemo, I had a very similar, my hair was the same for like 10 years or longer. Like it was like long in the front, really short in the back, like no bangs or anything like that, and red. And that's just how I wore it all the time. And I always wanted to try different looks, but I was too afraid. And then when you lose your hair, well, you just have no say, right? So I bought some wigs, and some of them were real cute, and they were like little bobs with bangs and stuff like that. And I was like, these are cute. And my friends were like, you should wear your hair like that. It also forces you to have a pixie cut because eventually your hair is going to grow back. So I had a pixie cut for a while. I loved my pixie cut. Pixie cuts are the fucking best, y'all. You can just wash your hair and they dries and it looks amazing. Pixie cuts are the best. But because of cancer the second time is when I stopped being afraid of certain things. It's when I was like, maybe I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I'm just going to try it. What's the worst that could happen? Like, it doesn't work out, whatever. It beats having cancer again. Like, I could do this. So, that's how I ended up podcasting. Now I wear what I want. I just wear what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. And that means I like to wear like things that are like pretty, like, again, Enid from Wednesday. Everything is very colorful. Like, I like my little Oxfords with arch support. Now I apparently like Uggs. That's a thing. Colorful tights. Yeah, orange hair. Like, I had pink hair for a while. I really like the orange. I think I'm going to keep it for a while. But the glasses with the cat eye, I think it's very flattering. And I just think they're cute. I just wear what I want is what it comes down to. And it's fun. I like to have fun with clothes. It's not just function for me. It's
self-expression.
It's how I'm expressing myself to people before they even talk to me, and like to wear things that make me feel good and fun. So
I've been with Sonia, and let me tell you, teenagers that look like they don't talk to any adults or give a shit will like run over to Sonia and go, I like your hair. I've seen this.
By the way, that's the kind of shit I live for. If a teenager will even acknowledge me and say that something I have on is cool or that they like my style, I'll fucking live off that compliment for months. I'm like, one time a teenager said I was cool.
I've seen it.
Because teenagers are scary.
They are terrifying.
Someone also asked do we have a favorite beauty product?
Oh my God, I love them all. That's my jam. It's like makeup and beauty products.
Yeah.
There's a company, I think it's called IT. Let me look. I use their mascara, and I just got this foundation that covers the red on my face because I'm getting older.
I also bought something recently because I also have red on my face. Let me
It Cosmetics.
I will say,
yes, that's my jam. It Cosmetics. It's the superhero mascara and the Bye Bye Under Eye, and then there's the full coverage. There's Nude Glow that I use on my face for foundation. It covers everything. And then when I was in Provincetown, I went to the Kiehl's, and I had the manager went around and was like, we have shit that's like 40% off. Like, this is good, and this will be good for you. So try this. And it's really good stuff. So
Kiehl's is my recommendation to
excellent.
You. That's my favorite stuff. I have the face wash.
Mm-hmm.
I have the daily sunscreen, like moisturizer. I have the eye cream. I have they're my favorite. And then when I feel like and they're like, it's a little expensive, but it's not like stupid expensive. It's like a little expensive.
If it works, it's worth it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not paying for the packaging. You're paying for the product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when there's like a big sale going on Sephora, I'll order a bunch of Drunk Elephant. I like Drunk Elephant stuff, which is like vegan, like natural. And it's the same. It's again, like the face wash, the moisturizers, all of that. I love that shit. But my addiction is like lipsticks and lip balms. That's seriously, it's a fucking problem. It's a problem. If I took out every lipstick I had right now and lined them up, it would be like 3 Maxes long. Like, it's like a drawer just packed. I don't know what I'm looking for. I clearly am waiting for one that I put on and magically makes me look like Cindy Crawford or something. Like, and that's just never gonna happen. But like, I'm addicted
I have to say, oh, I'm sorry. Rihanna's Fenty Beauty.
Yeah,
their lip gloss is delish. It's awesome.
Yeah, the is it the bomb one, the gloss bomb?
Yeah, the gloss bomb.
Yeah, that's a good one too. There was also a company that is Lip Slut.
Oh,
that
yeah,
makes really good. Yeah, they make really good like Stay Put lipstick. And then they donate some of the money. They had a whole bunch of like one called Fuck Trump. And they had one called Madam Speaker, and they had one called Persisted, I think, which was the Elizabeth Warren inspired one. They have a Notorious one. They're all great, and they stay put. They stay put. They can be a little dry, just FYI, but they stay put. Good ones. I love to talk about beauty stuff.
Me too.
Somebody asked for top 5 films. I was like, that's a long one. I'm like, 5. I'm like, that's a lot.
I had I put it in my book for Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's Do the Right Thing, The Warriors, Moonstruck. What else? The Warriors, Moonstruck. I love Goodfellas.
Yeah.
The Little Fugitive, that's the other one. It's a black and white movie that's filmed in Brooklyn, and it was in Coney Island. And
Nice.
And it's 1953, and they took this kid who wasn't a real actor, and they had 3 camera people follow him, and they strapped their cameras to their chests like a reverse backpack, and they just followed this kid all around Coney Island. And it's this beautiful black and white movie. And it's like just real people in the background, what Coney Island really looked like in 53. And it's just a fantastic movie. So and then of course the Hot Rock. We've talked about that on Dorking Out. That's one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah. The Goodbye Girl is also one of your favorites.
That's
isn't it?
definitely one of my favorites. Yeah. The Goodbye Girl is like cheer me up quickly, Scotty.
Yeah. I'm pretty basic. Like I grew up watching the Star Wars movies. So like I super love the Star Wars movies. Like I find them very comforting. I love Legally Blonde is like probably my favorite I don't even know if you could call it a romantic comedy. I would just put it in like the chick flick, and I use chick flick as an affectionate term, not a put down. It's probably my favorite. I find it the most comforting. You know, I love Poltergeist. It's probably my favorite scary movie. I love Silence of the Lambs.
Same.
You know, I have lots of favorites. It depends on what mood I'm in. Correct. You know, I love the Thin Man movies. I think the first 2 in particular are really great. I love The Man Who Came to Dinner. I just watched that recently with a friend, and that one makes me laugh really hard every single time I watch it. The original Odd Couple with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon,
so good,
makes me laugh so fucking hard every time I watch it. I'm just naming comedies that like Mother with Albert Brooks makes me laugh really hard every time I watch it. I mean, these are just
right.
Yeah, I could just go on and on. Like, you know, are my favorite movies the best movies? No. They're my favorites.
Yeah, the best movies of all time, like that big list that the AFI puts out and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, they're good movies, obviously, but I can't watch Schindler's List like over and over again. It's not like Young Frankenstein. I literally know every word of that movie, and it makes me howl with laughter. And but I like cheesy stuff like Back to School. Yeah. The Triple Lindy is like one of my favorite references. Calvin
and I have watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure more times than I could count, and I think it gets funnier every time I watch it. I think it's a perfect comedy because it's my favorite kind of character. We've talked about this a bit on Dorking Out. I love characters who are kind and curious. That's what it is. And like you know, we all know like Pee-wee is like, I know you are, but what am I? But he's also very kind to everyone except Francis. Except for Francis. He's very kind to everyone and he's very curious. So that's why I love Pee-wee's Big Adventure so much. But really, I could just go on and on. Here's another question from Belta. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my darling. You know I can't pronounce names. Why do you think people still like creeps like Mel Gibson and Chris D'Elia?
Okay, I like this question because over the holidays, at Christmas time, on Christmas Day at Kim's house, you've met Kim. She had friends over and they were from Australia. And they were talking about our show, What a Creep, and I told them about Mel Gibson. And I said, I don't mean Mel Gibson, Belle Gibson. And then she said, yeah, we kind of claim Mel Gibson. I'm like, he's had a problem for a while, but we claim him now. And I think people just think it's been enough time. He's just, and I think people, first of all, anti-Semitism is on the rise. So I think some people just don't have a problem with it. And I think misogyny is always lingering around. You know, people fight having to treat women as actual people. It is really my whole fucking life. Yeah. Even the greatest guy, like at some point, just really, there's just the struggle to treat women as people. And and I think they don't care. Like he just like, they're like, oh, he just said sugar tits. And then he was drunk. He was drunk. And it's like, you know, I've been really drunk. I don't get racist when I'm drunk. I don't try to rip people.
That means it's in your heart.
It means it's in your heart. And his father is a huge Holocaust denier.
Yes.
And he's just like, that's what he did with his and he's just super, you know, he's super Catholic and thinks that everything went to hell when they stopped having Latin masses. So like he's more holy than other people, but then he's just like fucking everything in sight and cheating on his wives. And I don't know. Yeah. But some people, like I said, they're fine with the anti-Semitism and they're certainly fine with the misogyny, and they could just brush that shit off with, well, he's older and he was a drunk. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, people can chalk it up to his addiction. I think in general, people, you could put Mel Gibson in there. You could put Chris D'Elia, you could put Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, whatever, like in there, is that turning your back on someone whose work you've actually enjoyed is hard.
Yes.
I get it. Like, it's hard. Like we did an episode on Bill Cosby, and it's like, I grew up watching Bill Cosby. Like, Bill Cosby himself is a really, really funny stand-up special. I get it. And you have to, like, it's hard to separate the art from the artist. And like, some people just don't want to do it. And honestly, it's like, that's fine. If you don't want to, if you're like, I still want to watch Louis C.K. special, that's fine. But don't pretend that what he did wasn't shitty.
When we put out that's that episode, so I did that episode, Louis C.K., and we got so many men that texted us or tweeted at us, or tried to DM us. We don't take DMs, by the way. Don't even start.
No.
But we're saying, like, I don't even understand why you're doing this. And then one guy in particular said he asked for permission to show his dick to these women. And if you think he just flashed his dick and that was it, which is already gross enough and you can get arrested for that. It's called, you know, it's considered assault. Yeah. But he would also masturbate until completion. And he would tell, now, what woman wants to watch a guy do that? That you don't know.
Maybe some do. I don't know.
Some, but
no kink shaming here, but
the odds are like every single woman that he asked was okay with it, except maybe one. No,
right.
That's not true. And so people find ways to, I mean, just with this Harvey Weinstein trial, he had a second trial in LA, and when women were slut shamed for coming forward. Yes. It still happens. You knew what you were doing, or it wasn't so bad. And I like Chris D'Elia. He's a funny guy, and I think he's hilarious. I don't laugh. I put on his specials, and I don't get it. Yeah. It's not my humor. That's fine. Right. I think, especially people that, and this is gonna shame, I don't care, I'm gonna just say it. People who brag about how they've never had a drink or a drug in their lives, and it's not for religious reasons. They just, and it's one thing, like, I tried alcohol, I didn't like it. But you're like, I've never had a blah, blah. That's Gene Simmons. That's Chris D'Elia. That's Penn Jillette. These are people I wouldn't want to fucking ride next to on a train. Much less listen to what they have to fucking say. Because at some point, like, that would probably do you really well if you would just But anyway, Chris D'Elia, he's part of a group of bro dudes that they have like Skankfest, which is their comedy, that's your humor. Fine. Yeah. And I get really inappropriate, and I loved Sam Kinison back in the day. Like I get it. You found your dude, but comedy doesn't age well. And just because someone's a comedian doesn't mean that you can't take them, like, what they do seriously. Like, it's always people will kind of pretend like, oh, he was just joking, he was just blah blah. Like, no. And Chris D'Elia has a lot of women that have come forward, and we talked about the documentary last week. We posted it in our Facebook group. When people allege something, that's evidence. That's what you bring to court. That's what you bring to the police. That's what you tell your lawyers. That they're like, well, these are just allegations. Allegations are evidence. Okay, remember that. That's evidence.
Yeah. Well, women saying things happened doesn't count.
Exactly. It's also
it's like, well, unless you videotaped it, we don't believe you.
The world,
but a dude can like come and like say what happened to them, and
everyone takes it seriously.
It's fact. That's a fact.
Men that came forward and said that they were molested by priests, like the sheer numbers that came forward, no one said, oh, that's too many people. Like that, how can that be possible? Or maybe this guy really wanted it, or this one's really gay and he wanted it. The way women are judged when they come forward. If you watch a Law and Order SVU, you're going to think like the rate, like the cops are going to be so compassionate and help you when you've been sexually assaulted. I had a friend that was raped in her apartment. It was a date rape situation. The cops wouldn't go anywhere near her. They wouldn't press charges. They treated her like garbage. This was not that long ago. It's like maybe 10 years ago.
Awful.
It's terrible. I heard on another podcast, I wish I could take credit for this, but someone said, and look, we're not male bashing, not all men, but the world is so set up to make men likable no matter what they do. Yeah. We really, 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 you've got to be really fucking terrible for people to really not get, like we said, Don Draper's an asshole, and people, and Tony Soprano's a murderer and a brute, and people still love the show. Like, men are so likable. The world just makes them so likable that it's very hard to go around that. And especially, white men that are funny. They get away with, or they think that they're funny. I thought this was a really interesting tidbit. It was in the news, and it was like this survey about men and women and what they think of as funny. And they said, what do you think of as funny when you're like in a relationship? And a woman says, oh, when someone's funny, they're funny. That's amusing to me. When someone says something funny, I laugh. And guys say, when they like my sense of humor, when they laugh at my jokes. Yeah. Like, it's not, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that says everything you need to know. And I think that the examples she gave here of Mel Gibson and Chris D'Elia, there's also just Mel Gibson has been in Hollywood for a long time.
Yep.
And if your movies make money, they let a lot slide. And people still go see him. And then some of it is, we sometimes forget that not everybody is very online. So like there's a lot of people who probably don't even know how shitty Mel Gibson is. Like I'm thinking of like my mom. My mom probably read a story a million years ago that Mel Gibson got a DUI and called cops sugar tits. That's probably all she knows about it. I'm not, by the way, passing any judgment on my mother. I'm just saying, like, it's not like my mom's on Twitter. Like, she's not.
No.
So when she sees there's a new Mel Gibson movie, she's like, oh, it's Mel Gibson. Yay. And like,
I love Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah, she doesn't even know. So there's definitely like a population of people who don't know. There's also a population of people who probably don't know about Crystalia. They probably don't even know who he is.
Thankfully. Yeah.
But like I said, it's hard when it's stuff you like to actually, it's like when people are like, I'm going to boycott Target because of they have gender neutral bathrooms or whatever. I'm like, they're not really going to do it. You know why? Because boycotting Target's fucking hard. It's hard.
It's too hard.
You like shopping at Target. It's fun.
Yeah.
It has what you need. It's the only store in your town, whatever. So like those things are hard. And
yeah, boycott Disney. Good luck with that. If you like Star Wars.
Oh, I love it when people are like, I'm going to boycott Disney. I'm like, LOL, good luck. Disney owns fucking everything. Everything. The water you're drinking is probably owned by Disney. Like,
I'll say that like I love Rosemary's Baby. That's one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah.
And Roman Polanski, which also we got somebody gave us a shitty review because they're like, his family was killed in the Holocaust. And I'm like, that's fucking terrible. I feel bad about that. I honestly feel bad about it. I feel bad about Sharon Tate. His wife was murdered. Doesn't give him the right to drug and rape children.
No. And Roman Polanski's a great example. Woody Allen is another example of people whose movies I really enjoyed back in the day. Like I like Rosemary's Baby, Chinatown. Like those are great movies. Woody Allen's, Annie Hall. These are great movies that I enjoyed back in the day. When they put out new movies now, I'm like, fuck that. Like I don't see them because I don't want them to have my money. Like if Michael Jackson was still alive today, I would not be listening to new Michael Jackson music. That's how I draw my line. It's like if I want to watch an old Louis C.K. special, I wouldn't. But let's say I did. If it was old and I'd seen it before, I might watch it. Will I pay money to see a new Louis C.K. special? Hell no.
Right.
That I guess where I'm drawing my line is money. Where I'm like, and my time.
Money and time are very valuable.
I'm not giving you, and I was like, I'm not giving you those things. Like, they don't get them. Like Dave Chappelle. Like Dave Chappelle has crossed a line for me.
Right.
He's not going to get my money, and he's not going to get my time. Like, I'm not going to watch his shit, even though I already pay for Netflix.
You don't have to watch everything that's on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't.
And I'm like, but I have friends who still love Dave Chappelle, and I was like,
all right.
I was like, fine. Like, I don't even want to argue with you about it. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm like, don't pretend that what he's doing isn't trash.
Right.
Like, don't pretend that he's like not a garbage person. Like, again, the lengths people will go to not admit that they are wrong about something. It's like,
let's just say Bill Cosby is toying with the idea of touring next year. There is no cancel culture.
No.
There is no cancel culture.
Yeah.
Crystalia lost a deal at Netflix. Crystalia makes a fucking fortune on Patreon.
Right.
Men and their men fans will pay for anything. They'll buy their books. They'll buy they'll go see them live. They'll pay for the extra content. They all do fucking fine.
Who do you think opens for Bill Cosby? Do you think Chappelle will open for Bill Cosby? Someone will open for him.
I think it should be
Hannibal Buress.
Yes.
By the way, he's the one that put this back in everyone's.
That's like we did an episode about Bill's and that's another one that bummed me out because there's so many women for decades that were abused by this shithead.
Yes.
He's supposedly blind and couldn't get around. He's an old man. Let him out of jail. He's an old man. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to go on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it? The Golden State Killer? He's like, I'm an old man.
Yeah.
And then they showed like the jail footage and he's fucking working out like in his cell, like running in place, doing jumping jacks. And then he's like going into the court and he's like, oh, I can barely walk.
Harvey Weinstein with the walker and hunched over. like Billy Crystal in the Princess Bride, like Miracle Max, like he's all like old and
Liar!
liar. Have fun storming the castle. Give us a break.
We have one last question. What are your favorite podcasts?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I love Watch What Crappens. I just love them. They're so funny. They do Bravo shows and recaps. Karina Longworth's You Must Remember This. It's like,
yes,
it's history and it's Hollywood. I fucking love it. There's a new Daily Beast show that I've been watching. I'm going to bring up my phone.
Yeah, I'm bringing up my phone to make sure I'm.
Yeah, I want to make sure I hit the. Okay, let's see. Pink Shade. The New Abnormal. It's a Daily Beast show, and it's about politics, but it's got like a comedy bent to it.
Ooh, okay.
All Killa No Filla.
Yes, of course.
There are girlies. No Fun with Jen Kirkman.
Yes, that's on my list.
She's awesome.
F This Movie, obviously.
F This Movie for sure. Bitch Sesh.
I love Dear Clementine, which is Clementine Ford's advice podcast.
I need to listen to that.
Yeah, I really like that one. Trashy Divorces, obviously.
Behind the Bastards.
Celebrity Memoir Book Club is one that I started recently.
Isn't that the best?
It's so good. Maintenance Phase.
Yes, and then he has a new one.
If Books Could Kill.
If Books Could Kill. He's fantastic. I said that.
I also listen to sometimes You're Wrong About. That's another one that's been recommended to me a gazillion times. So I listen to that, but I've been more on Maintenance Phase than You're Wrong About. But when I listen to You're Wrong About, I really love it.
Yeah. So I think those are Twisted Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Delisted. Yeah, those are my favorites.
Yeah. And then Jamie Loftus did a couple, like she did the Act Cast and the Lolita podcast. Those were really great.
Mm-hmm.
Like those I like plow through when they come out. They're so good. You listen to a lot more than I do, podcast wise.
It's like because I don't drive, I have to walk everywhere, so I kind of like it. It takes up time, but I also when I work out to podcasts now because I worked out to music for years. I'm like to the point where I don't want to but I'm telling you, or The Alarmist, that's a good one. Sorry, Celebrity Book Club with Chelsea Devantez is amazing. WTF. So that's it. That's
a good one. Yeah, I'm not allowed to listen to podcasts in the car when Calvin's in there because
he can't handle the talking.
Two things. One, the stuff I listen to is not appropriate maybe for young ears. And two, when I do, he's like, "Can you turn off that talking?" Music is fine. He'll tolerate my music. He'll tolerate it. But like podcasting, he's like, "You turn off that talking," and I was like, "It's not for everybody."
My dad loved NPR, and just like the driest NPR show, or he loved Ack and Clack or whatever the freaking frack, whatever they call that car talk show. He fucking loved that. And then my mom, when my mom likes an album, she will play it 100 times. Like she will play it over and over and over again. It's so funny, like how different they were that way. But anyway,
that is so funny. I think that was all of there were a lot of questions here.
Oh, they want to know do you know our signs?
Oh, like our horoscope?
Yeah. So I'm an Aries with a Capricorn rising and a Scorpio moon.
Oh, I don't know if I know all of it. I know I'm a Libra.
Ooh, Aries and Libra get along.
Yeah. I'm like, I guess I could Google that shit for you real quick. I'm October 2nd horoscope. Let's see.
Well, you have to do your birthday date